It's Ted Pedromo, and I'm here with my friend Rob Brown, author of The Truest Fan, a book I finished, and I'm definitely adding it to my annual reading list because it had, like we were just talking, it's a huge impact on me. So welcome, Rob.
Well, thanks for having me, Ted, and I really appreciate your saying that, because that's really what I hope from the book. Is it's the kind of thing that somebody will read and then they'll refer back to, because the lessons are so important.
Yeah, this is very different than I expected. You know, you coach financial advisors and this whole other side of you I knew. Now this is just fantastic. So what inspired you to write this book?
You know, it's one of those things where I have to admit it's 30 years overdue. I read Ken Blanchard's book, The 1 Minute Manager, back in the 80s. And when I read that, I said, one day I want to write a book that tells an important story. And I subsequently read a bunch of other books by Ken Blanchard and others. And I love learning that way. And I said, one day I'm going to get around to writing book. And last year it happened finally. It just was I had somebody that I met who was going to help me get the book started, who helps other aspiring authors get going, and he made it less intimidating, and the next thing you know, I've got this great book.
That's great. I've been thinking of writing a book like this for years too. I've written the LinkedIn books and the Twitter books, and they're okay, but they're pretty boring. The technical books.
Yeah, well, you know, that's my other book. My other book is a more technical book. I'm still very proud that I wrote it. It's helped people that I work with, or even people that I don't work with, who've just read it and applied it to their business. But this is definitely something different, more from the heart, more inspirational. That's really what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, as we're getting older, you know, we want to have our legacy, and really these things are more important to us than the technical books, I think. It's kind of my feeling.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and I was doing a podcast last week with my book coach, and when we were talking about this, you know, he asked me, well, what's my advice? And I said, well, if you've got that book in your head or in your heart, just do it. Because even if you only write it to share what you've learned in your life, some of your personal wisdom, with just a few people, even if you write it just for your kids, it's worth writing. And if you can then share it with lots of other people, that's another step, but it's not necessary, because I think putting those words down, sharing that wisdom is really important.
Yeah. 7 lessons, they're simple when you read them and deep when you start digging into them. Do you have a favorite lesson?
Yes, I do. So lesson number 4 is smiles and kind words go a long way. And I have often in my life been accused of not smiling enough. I sometimes walk around maybe with a little bit too much of a frown on my face. I don't know if that's just the way my genetics were, but that's my favorite lesson, because that's a lesson that you and I can do right now while we're talking. We can just encourage people to smile, and just by saying, "Hey, smile!" Why not smile? And so, in the book, I talk about a character, Willie, who just loved making people smile, and even shared some tricks for ways that you could apply that. So I love just the idea of the simple idea of making people smile. So I think that's my favorite lesson.
That's funny, because I have the opposite one. I smile too much. People say, "You're always smiling. You're always smiling." But I like though your tips, like you put a dime in one pocket and then you make someone smile. You put the dime in the other pocket. Simple little things.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that you can get access to when you buy the book is there's an implementation guide that goes alongside of it, and so there are some implementation lessons that, or exercises that go along with each of the lessons. And one of the extra credit lessons is what you just said, Ted, was, put 5 dimes or 5 pennies in your left pocket to start the day. And every time you make somebody smile or help somebody smile, move the penny to your right pocket. And by the time the day is over, you want to make all of those, all 5 of those pennies or dimes make a round trip. And then you've been some people's truest fans that day because you've made them feel good and smile.
Yeah, that's so important these days because we've all been, like I said, last year's been a rough year with the pandemic. Everybody's just on edge, and just smiling at someone, it lights up their day.
Yeah. And you think, well, that's kind of nice, but what does that really do? Well, think of all the places that you can smile. You can smile if you're on a team with your teammates to lift them up and help them have a better day. And you're going to get greater productivity if you have clients that you're working with. It's much easier to work with people when they're happy and smiling, even if you're working on a problem, than it is to be frowning and worried. And so causing people to smile, going out of your way to smile, I think it really does help you be a truest fan.
So share what the truest fan means to you.
So the idea behind the truest fan is that we all need to be and to have truest fans. We need to have people around us who love us and support us and encourage us. And we need to offer that same love and encouragement to other people. And I think it's an endless thing that there's no limitation to whose fan you can be and who can be your fan. I like to say that anybody I meet, I'm their truest fan, because there's nobody that I meet that I don't want to see be more successful in whatever positive things that they're doing. And it starts also with being your own truest fan, because that's lesson number 1, is to be a truest fan. You have to be your own truest fan. You have to really believe in yourself, because self-belief is I think is an essential step of becoming a better version of you.
Yeah, that one really resonated with me because I'm always helping people and I was worried about other people, and my wife's the same way. And we forget about ourselves.
And I think some of the stuff that you you often share stories of yourself and the way that you have the things that you're doing to improve yourself and increase your belief in yourself, even if it's riding the Peloton 400 straight days or whatever crazy number that you're on now. I mean, that's just shown that you have this confidence in yourself, you believe in yourself, and that makes you a stronger person in everything that you're doing, not just the physical benefits of getting on that bike every day.
Right. Yeah, up to 67 straight weeks, 16 pounds down.
Inspirational.
Yeah. Now, you want to briefly go through the 7 lessons real quick?
Sure. Well, we've talked about lesson number 1 is all about self-belief, believing in yourself and finding some ways to affirm that and to do that. Lesson number 2 is focusing on your most important work. We live in a world of distractions, and oftentimes it's easy to let life's distractions, day-to-day distractions, get in the way of our most important work. So one of the things that I really try to teach in that lesson is, what are those things that are really most important to you, and are you putting those things ahead of other people's interruptions or the distractions that can come your way? And stop me anytime, Ted. I can go on about this.
Oh no, I know.
Lesson number 3, because the book has a baseball reference. I think in teeing this up for today, you mentioned that I'm the world's, there it is. I am the self-proclaimed world's greatest Cleveland Indians fan. I'm sure there are people who could, but I want to take that claim. But, in baseball, there's that saying, it's not how you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So lesson number 3 of the Truest Fan is, how do you play the game? How are you playing the game each day? What things are you doing that are letting your impact and your values stand out. And they don't have to be big things. They can be little things. But how are you making sure that you're playing the game the right way, even though some days you win and some days you lose? And so playing the game the right way is lesson number 3. Lesson number 4, we've already talked about that. I guess my favorite lesson: smiles and kind words go a long way. I love making people smile and laugh, and even saying things like I'm the world's greatest Cleveland Indians fan probably causes some Cleveland Indians fans to smile because they know how I feel, and causes people who root against the Indians to smile because they know that we've got a big season in front of us. Lesson number 5 is about being a Truest fan to your family. That you have to put your family first. You have to look for ways to really make sure that your wife and your kids and the family that lives outside of your home knows how much you care about them and love them, and that you're doing those things to really give them extra time, to know that that you don't take the way that you feel for them or they feel about you, the love that you share, for granted. And so putting family first is lesson 5. Lesson 6 is you're never alone. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I know that I am never alone. I try to be, in the way that I do things, God's truest fan by being a truest fan. It's kind of like loving others the way that God loves us, but also knowing that He's there. So if I need to call on Him and ask for His help, that He's going to be there to help me. In fact, it was really a blessing today. I had a friend who read the book Call Me, who had something very tragic happen in his family, and he said he had to call me because he had read Truest Fan, and he needed kind of an anchor to deal with a sudden accident that happened that was really upsetting to him. He was able to say, just thinking about not being alone, knowing that there's somebody there looking over my shoulder was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And then lesson 7, the last lesson, is intentionally live the life that you were born or intended to live. So you don't do this by accident. You don't just be a Truest fan by saying, hey, I'm going to be a Truest fan. You have to be intentional about it, looking for ways to put that Truest fan philosophy into action, being very intentional about it. So those very quickly, or maybe not so quickly, but pretty quick to me, are the 7 Truest Fan lessons. And I think if you're listening to this or watching this, you recognize that I didn't come up with these lessons out of the blue. One of the things that makes them so valuable is that they come from wisdom that we've been sharing for the ages, but we don't always put into action or think about it in our lives. So I think that's the real benefit of the book, is that you have the opportunity to revisit some of these lessons and think of ways that you can apply them today.
Yeah, I think the impact it had me the most, we met, 2013, was it? Like 8 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. I was looking back today at something, and I think the first time we met was 8 years ago now. Yeah, and I've watched you with marketing your business, but I've also seen you share hints of this through your marketing. Like, you really believe in God, and you really believe in all these things, that all 7 lessons. It feels like it comes right from your heart when I read this book. It does. It really does come from my heart. And I had someone talking with me about the book yesterday, and they said, I felt like I was in that book right beside you. Yes. And I was like, wow, that is high praise, right? Because if you can write a story that the reader can feel a part of, which is, I think, a big goal of a writer, that's a really positive thing. And that's why I really want to make this not just a book that I get out there and maybe some people on Amazon like. I really look at this as being a movement, something that I can really spend some time on in this next phase of my life. If I can help some people become Truest fans, then I think I'll have done a good thing.
You've done a good job. I've been a baseball fan all my life. I felt like I was sitting at the stadium with you. My sister lives in Cleveland, so a lot of this really resonated with me.
Yeah, those were the most fun stories to write, where I was in the stadium and I was talking about all the things that were going on around me, the people that I was meeting, because I could, as a Cleveland fan, as a baseball fan, I could just fall back into, being in that seat, picturing that person I was picturing when I was writing the story.
That's awesome. So where do we get our copies? I got mine.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, a couple things here. One, my advice is, and this will sound like I'm a Truest Fan pusher, which I am, I think you should buy a minimum of 3 copies. And the reason I say this is I think you should have a copy for yourself, because you can be like Ted and read it on that annual reading list. But 2, it's a great book to give to a family member or a friend. And that's part of lesson number 5, right? Yep. And then 3, I did it myself when I was traveling earlier this week. Take a copy with me, just give it to somebody that you feel, needs a pick me up. So, because you don't have to make Truest fans from people that it can be people that you don't know. So my push is to get people to buy multiple copies, because it's the kind of thing that you can share. You ask yourself sometimes, what can I do to pick somebody up? Well, this is a great thing to do that with. Yeah. And so the more direct answer to your question is just go to truestfan.com. That's my website, truestfan.com. Click the button there to buy a copy of the book. And then, as I said earlier, when you buy a copy of the book, you'll see early in the book, it tells you how to get the free implementation guide. What it doesn't say in the book is that when you get the free implementation guide, there is also a 7-day quick start challenge. So I put together a series of 7 lessons that you can use to put the ideas to work from the book. So I really try to pack a lot of value into the book for folks who pick up a copy.
Great. Well, congratulations, Rob. I'm proud of you. You did it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Ted, and I really appreciate the way that you go out of your way to serve others. You are definitely the Truest fan to a lot of people, which makes it really easy to be your Truest fan.
Great. Thank you.